Oh yeah. All right. All right. All right. All right, guys. What's up? What's up? What's up? Actually, let me go with my new catchphrase. What the fuck is up, everyone? uh, how's it going, everybody? This is Corey, and I am here with John Fitch, as usual, to bring you Red Pill Smash Bros. This is our 7th episode, I do believe. We're fucking crushing it lately, John. I gotta say,
Yeah,
we're crushing
yeah.
it.
7 already.
We're kicking ass, bro. I love it. John, go ahead. Introduce yourself to the crowd.
Yeah, John Fitch here, longtime MMA fighter, world champ, father of 2 boys, recently divorced. Went from a blue pill alpha to kind of being zeroed out, and then now I'm coming back and trying to save the Western civilization by educating men and making the world a better place for my sons, and teaching martial arts and how to beat people up along the way.
Epic. Everybody, my name is Corey Capella. I am a former United States Marine combat veteran. I used to also own a CrossFit gym, Pariah CrossFit in Oceanside, California. I was raised into the blue pill dream, and through various means to include different entheogenic medicines on top of just a vast amount of trauma, I was finally awakened into the red pill. And my goal in life today is to help mentor men into being the best masculine version of themselves and the best version of themselves, period. John and I come to you twice a week on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Pacific time and Saturday mornings at, what time do we do it at? 9:30?
9:30 usually?
Yeah, I think it's 9:30. Yeah, we did 10 the other day. 9:30 on Saturday, Pacific Standard Time as well.
We're flexible and adapt.
Yeah, sometimes we got to do what we got to do. No big deal. But we come to you with Red Pill Smash Bros. In order to impart some of our knowledge upon you so that hopefully you don't have to go through nearly as much shit as we had to, on top of giving you the keys to the castle in order to build yourself into the best version of you, on top of helping you smash some of that puñata. Anyway, with that said, you know what, John? You said something. I know I sent you a task of what we should accomplish today, and we'll get there. But this was a big topic that I kind of hear people talking about recently, and you said it a little bit earlier. And, it's the idea of saving the West, saving Western society, saving Western civilization. Do you think it's salvageable?
I do, but I mean, man, it's not just Western culture. Western culture is representation of just forward progress.
Okay. Explain.
I think, well, I mean, we've moved past dictatorships. We've moved past slavery. We've moved past, women not being allowed to do shit. We have equal rights for everybody. We're accepting of all sexualities, genders, whatever. Like,
would you say any of those are a benefit?
I think freedom ultimately is.
Thank
yes.
you. All right,
freedom to do and say what you want to do. That is where we have taken human society further than anyone else. We are what represents that. I
agree with you there. I'm gonna shoot back though on some things. I think that we've taken freedom to the nth degree, and I think this is part of the social experiment. We've taken freedom to the nth degree to also see, like, okay, there's also areas of freedom that we need to, like, tamp back. Okay. And this is something that people have to understand about freedom. I'm a big advocate of freedom. If you read my book, I'm gigantic on it, right? But also as a philosopher, you have to understand that there's these things, when it comes to freedom, there's positive freedom and negative freedom, okay? So positive freedom is the belief, and this is what, like, the blue-blooded Americans believe in, is like, I can have my guns and I could drink whiskey and I could do all this stuff and I could fucking do all this shit and whatever I want. It's a free country, right? That's positive freedom. Whatever I as an individual can do. I can go out and do all this shit. But there's a limit to there's a limit to positive freedom, okay? And that limit is drawn when you start affecting somebody else's freedoms, okay? So for instance, and this is a fucking crazy one, right? Am I free to have a fucking 3-day bender where I am playing house music as loud as possible when I live in the vicinity of other people, right? Okay, so positive freedom, right? I live in a free country. I can do this stuff. But where's your freedom draw a line where it starts to invoke or distract away from other people's freedoms to also do other things, right? So that's negative freedom. Negative freedom is like the freedom to be away from like people polluting shit upstream from me. People, going through X amount of freedoms in order for me to like smokestacks, for instance, all that other stuff, right? So that's where this freedom experiment is kind of in one of those states of like, okay, sure, you're free to do whatever you want, but where do your freedoms, where are your freedoms? Go ahead.
My understanding, that's the libertarian standpoint. Like they believe in freedom as long as you're not applying harm on it.
Aggressing upon somebody else. Yeah.
Libertarians are they're kind of on the fence and they battle back and forth between each other about abortion. Because on one stance, yes, the person should get to choose and be able to choose what they want to do with their body. But then the other point, that the other half of them is saying that, well, what about the rights of the child? You're not supposed to, harm anything with your freedom. So, yeah, that kind of splits the libertarians up a little bit.
Oh, I love the abortion debate. I think we started getting into that a little while ago before, but I would love that. Love to have that conversation. But I think it would detract from our mission today because we're trying to save the West, right? And we love the West because why? And what it comes down to is, and this is, John, this is something that's missing. And I just, believe it or not, I actually just shot a video about 2 hours ago. And I went on a pretty fucking wild rant. If you guys haven't checked it out, please do go watch that after this. Also, hey, you motherfuckers, I'm going to start doing this a little bit earlier on. If you like what John and I are doing, please give us a like. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. If you're not subscribed to John, go ahead. What's your YouTube channel?
Official John Fitch. I do Shake Breaks live streams pretty much every morning at 9:30 out here in California.
Quit being a bunch of bums and watching this shit for free and not fucking advocating any of this stuff. Come on, what are you doing, right? We're trying to grow this shit. We're trying to help people out here. You fucking help us out. Come on, let's go. Anyway, with that said, so talk about freedom, all that other good stuff. The thing that I've realized, John, is this. Where have you had any of these conversations in school? Have you ever been taught, like, has anyone sat down in front of your class and discussed freedom with you? Like, I'm sure most people would never Go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
I was very fortunate with my history classes.
Mm-hmm.
I luckily was always landed in the best teacher's class from junior high all the way through college. And that's one of the reasons why I got my minor in history, because there was always just really cool, fun teachers. I always got the guy teacher. I always got the hip one, the ex-soldier, the guy who would scream and yell and flip papers around.
Yeah.
Tell you, a constitutional guy in our at Purdue, and he used to get up on the desk in the lecture halls and yell and throw things around. He talked about the soap opera shit going on.
Yeah.
With the guys, the founding fathers flipping over tables, guys hitting each other with canes on the Senate floor, like fist fighting, brawling.
John, let me ask you: do you think any of that stuff is within our education system today? Do you think kids are getting
really?
that?
Probably, people have no idea. Probably these guys who did those type.
Oh, it's been fucking removed. 100%, dude.
I mean, just that idea of what was it? William Burr and who was it? John Adams or whatever. They had a duel. They had a duel.
They had a fucking duel on the fucking White House lawn, dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
They kill each other. They each took a shot and missed.
Presidents used to be somewhat badass. That's what I can't stand about people bitching about Trump right now. Like, it didn't being a president, it didn't used to be this fucking polished, right? Like, people think the ideal president is.
They used to ride out on the field of battle with everybody.
No shit, dude. Fucking Teddy Roosevelt, one of my favorite presidents, was a fucking Rough Rider, dude. Like, if Teddy Roosevelt were a president today, that motherfucker would be wearing leather. And he'd be on the back of he'd be riding a motherfucking Bagger Harley right now, right? He'd be doing all sorts of fucking shit, bro. Like, that's how it was, dude. Like, dude was a badass. Like,
that's why they nicknamed teddy bears after him.
Why is that?
Because he went hunting, he wanted to go hunting or whatever, and somebody had a bear for him, and they chained it up to a tree.
Oh yeah.
Oh, here you go, shoot it. And he refused to shoot the bear.
Right.
That became like a story.
Yeah. I remember hearing that, dude. I actually remember that story.
Yeah, he refused. It was tied up. He's like, I'm not going to shoot a tied up bear.
See, I was a little bit fortunate too, growing up in Connecticut, So Connecticut being one of the 13 original colonies, being the Constitution state, I forgot Nathan Hale, all that stuff is around. So there was still some semblance of that, and it was tied into our civics class, and it was also tied into a bit of our history. But the other thing, John, that you just mentioned was this. You had male teachers that had a lot of experience in life and even adverse experience being a fucking soldier and all this other stuff, and then going and teaching. Whereas now what we have is we have people who've spent their entire life in school, then they go and they do 8 years to get their master's degree. They have no life experience whatsoever, never faced adversity, and they've been brought up in this fucking coddled-ass culture. And what are they trying to teach these people? They're trying to teach them a bubble-wrapped world.
All they learn are theories anyways. They don't oh, this is a theory. Might have. We don't know. It's not even like, oh, this is solid. This is likely. They don't do that. They just teach these theories, and they teach the theories they like.
It's like that movie. I don't know if you've seen the movie Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
At the time, fucking terrible movie, right? But next thing is,
it's one of those guilty pleasure movies.
It's a cult. It's a cult fucking following movie.
It's a cult. I mean, it's like terrible, but it's awesome. Like,
yes, exactly. It's like Fast and the Furious
type thing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's like Fast and the Furious. Like the fucking whoever did the screenplay and did the actual what's it called, like the dialogue. It was terrible, but the whole thing was like it was just a guilty whatever. But anyway, we're talking about it wasn't Rorschach, but it was the teacher. In the beginning, we first meet him. He has the bionic arm, right? And he has a scar on his face. And he's Rico's teacher. And then the next thing, when Rico ends up joining and all this other stuff, and everybody ends up joining, he ends up being the fucking platoon sergeant or whatever. And this dude was a motherfucking badass. And he was the one that actually, in a way, challenged Rico in the beginning to choose his path, choose his destiny. Because I don't know if you recall this. Like, he challenged him to go and live life and to join the military and to actually prove himself as a man, instead of doing what his dad wanted. His dad was a rich citizen who didn't believe in paying back any of the dues to this civilization, right? And Rico ended up getting in an altercation with his father because he chose to go and join the military. He was challenged in that moment to go on the journey to become a man rather than taking the easy way out of becoming a boy. And it's crazy how, you kind of talk about this right now of having those male leaders in the schools where, you even said, man, I ended up going and getting and investing into a minor, right, in history, because I started with a major in history, but the requirements were too steep for wrestling. So I switched to PE. I flip-flopped them because you could do the same thing and teach the same classes or whatever. So I was like, oh well, I'll the requirements for to continue being an athlete in PE was 2.75, and it was like 3.0 for history. And I had I got like a C or a D in like a dance class or something. My counselor was worried that I wasn't gonna hit the 3.0 mark and lose my eligibility. So yeah. Just flip-flop them. No worries there. So
yeah,
when we talk about saving the West, and we've actually talked about it a couple times, where we're like, you know what? Let it fucking crumble, but we'll start our own counterculture.
And I think the West is taking us to here today, but in a sense, you could say the West is dead, and we're going to start building something new because nothing lasts forever. The Roman Empire didn't. For the West, Western ideology isn't going to last forever. Right. We're more of a global. We're kind of like more of a global state as it is anyways. So it's going to be who's going to take control of the next move forward. It's going to be more of a global move forward, I think.
I think that the global thing is going to try to happen, but I think that people are going to opt out, and we're actually going to break down further into city states. And I think there's going to be some kind of global catastrophe too, whether it be natural or unnatural, I don't know. And I think that's also going to drive a divide, where it's going to make people want to reconnect at a tribal level as well and break down these monolithic government structures that are inherently anytime you create a structure that big, it's inherently going to stomp on people's individual
So
freedoms.
what you're kind of describing is something I kind of predicted a little while ago with Bitcoin, but or because of Bitcoin, but I think everything's kind of becoming more decentralized. So the move forward is going to be a bunch of decentralized units that are connected through technology.
They're connected through technology, but they also choose to have their own borders and barriers of being their own autonomous states.
Well, I think there's going to be people who are, you may be the only one in your city who's a part of a group, you know what I mean? But that's the group you socialize with all the time through the internet and through technology and all your time,
Sure.
I see that because people are kind of already doing that. People are already grouped together on certain platforms and they're there all the time anyways. The guys that nicknamed the Redditards. They're there.
Well, I think that's essentially
constantly.
To be honest with you, I think that's essentially what's going to happen though, is they're actually going to end up figuring out a way to group together physically.
That may be difficult though, because I feel like the financially it's harder and harder for people to relocate these days.
For sure. Well, I'm saying if something environmental does happen though, it's going to It's going to.
I feel like a lot of people are so stationary. There's so many people who refuse to move from where they're born. It's wild.
Well, I'm telling you, if you're living in a location though,
the millennials are always complaining about, there's no jobs, no money, no whatever. I was like, have you tried somewhere not in a big city? Have you tried moving somewhere that has 100,000 people, 200,000 people, rather than
but they don't have a vegan restaurant in the middle of fucking nowhere, Idaho. How am I going to survive? Right.
Well, who's going to pick me up for where's my Uber ride?
Exactly. Or, they only have one park there. How am I going to fucking take my Instagram photos and be able to post up inspirational quotes every single day? Right.
So it's people are just kind of stuck. They don't want to leave the spot they're at. So it might be difficult.
I agree.
But I think, the technology is going to be there for people to find those groups they want to associate in. Because they're kind of already doing it.
Yeah. Well, with that said, though, I do think moving forward, I do think that we will see a resurgence of this discussion when it comes to freedom. But I think that we're also going to be able to draw some stark parallels, because we've been able to see what happens when you allow people to be too free, right? And what happens, and especially when you allow governments to grow to the levels that they're at now too.
Well, I mean, part of this, okay, so I want to push back a little bit on the too free thing. To me, it's, your level of freedom is adequate to the level you're willing to fight for it. Okay, for you to say there's a negative freedom, well, to me, that's just, okay, somebody strong did what they wanted to and somebody weak couldn't stop them.
Okay.
Because somebody upstream from me who's got a factory and is polluting, and I'm like, oh shit, I find out they're polluting the water. Well, then I have to go and do something about it.
Right.
Use my freedoms to stop them from doing what they're doing.
See, my solution to that is this, and then I'm writing about it in my second book. My solution is the biggest issue right now is that when we raise kids and we raise them up in our education system, we teach them what to think, and we teach them facts rather than teaching them lessons in how to think. We don't teach them. I've been a big advocate lately of dismissing the phrase common sense. That used to be one of those things, because common sense isn't common anymore. It's now practical sense, and practical sense allows you to understand what can be practically applied and what's normally going to happen, right? When you add logic and reason and rationale to an equation. And with that said, when you start doing that, when you start teaching people how to actually philosophically deduce and break down these thought processes, you allow them instead to think and come up with their own conclusions. And that, in my sense, that's me believing in freedom. You're freeing someone's mind. Okay, the first thing you have to do first is free someone's mind. But we can't live in a society where we're here right now, where it's like, here is just scatterplot bits of information, and go and belong to your tribe that believes in the same scatterplots of information, right? especially when there's no foreground or beginning sense of understanding freedom. That's just chaos, right? Some people be like, oh, that's anarchy kind of deal. I'm an advocate of anarchy because the root of anarchy means without rulers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want anyone ruling my mind. But the problem is most of these people are so free that they don't even have the discipline by which to interact with the world. So what do? So we make it a part of the society and the structure of teaching people how to think so that they could come up with their own conclusions. And that's good because what it ends up doing is it allows people to start ending up creating their own ethics or creating the most ethical. Okay. And then when someone does things that are unethical or there's a question of ethics in a society, people are actually able to, in a public forum, have a rational discourse about these ethics. Therefore, you no longer need laws. You're not going to need people going around with fucking batons and guns telling you, hey, fall in this line. Instead, it becomes public discourse. And that, essentially, for me, is the root of freedom. It's people being able to choose by how they're ruled and the ethics by which a civilization or society is ruled, right? And when you turn that over to the people, as far as that autonomy, that is, to me, that's the ultimate form of freedom. It's not just, hey, anything goes, right? Because then you run into the problem of that positive, negative freedom situation that I was telling you about. But instead, when you open people's minds up to be able to interact with information and give them the ability to argue and rationalize with what is ethical and how to do it, and then you have people that are mature enough to be able to handle that, boom. I mean, that's essentially Go ahead.
Oh, I forgot. I lost it.
No worries.
No, you also have to, people, one of the big things too with that is people need to be taught how to think forward. Like what are the second and third order effects of this decision?
Right.
So the businessman, that's why the businessman is able to build a factory that pollutes the river, because he probably doesn't live in the town or the city. He's never going to see it. Like the worst thing that's going to happen to him is he'll get a slap on the wrist of a financial, bad, whatever, slap on the wrist, money wise, it really doesn't do anything to him. So, hopefully you can teach people forward thinking, figure out those second, third order effects, but you're always going to run into that problem. Some people just are so detached from certain groups that they don't care. I think that's one of the big issues that we have with society today is it's really a battle between the elite and everybody else. And the elite constantly keeps turning us on ourselves. Even the left and right, the men, the women, the masculine, the feminine, like we're all fighting each other while the elite are just like cashing in.
Oh, absolutely. And they're just figuring out more and more ways to distance themselves from us, which makes it creates a form of nihilism. And that's essentially where people are at right now, is they just feel so detached. Yeah, they feel so detached from being able to connect and have success that they're just like, yeah, fuck it. Let's burn it all down, right? Like, what is there to believe in? There's no connection. Because that's, at the end of the day, that's all people are looking for. We're all looking for connection. We're looking to feel connected as though we matter and as though we're able to, grow, whether in any interaction, right? It's what you and I are doing right now. We are connecting on a certain level and we're helping other people connect and come up with these ideas and just start thinking forward. But a lot of people are just like, and again, this goes back, I honestly believe, because they don't have control over how to process information in their brain. And like you said, the greatest tool that the elite uses is this indoctrination, where it's like, let's just fill their brains with a whole bunch of information, and then afterwards have them go home and watch the news where it's just this fear campaign, and then make them feel like they need to be activists for change, and then give them a pet project. Right. And then everyone's like, oh, these 18, 19, 20-year-old kids, they're like, I'm going to go to school so that I can get my fastest level means of getting some kind of viable, some type of means that people look at me and say, okay, this person has some credential. And during that time frame, I'm going to get my pet project, which is
girl.
What's that?
For a lot of the guys, it's because they're going to get the girl, and the girls. I think that's where a lot of the problem lies too. It's a feminine problem.
Yeah.
Because they've manipulated the women to be so empathetic about things on a short scale. They don't see the big picture. and then they're pushing a certain direction because they're more agreeable, and they don't look into it. They don't care about facts and figures, their feelings, and things are being told, make them feel good. So they're pushing in this direction, and then you have all the white knights and beta males are like, oh, okay, we'll help you. And then that's their strategy to get there. Yeah, that's just ugly. And then that's how everything lays on that. It seems like everything's driven by.
And then right there, all you have is a farm of sheep. You got a farm of sheep that you can just literally fucking ring a bell, right? And you can say, come over here to this little fucking, this little, or this new mindset, right? The biggest ones right now are, gender equality, social justice, and this fucking climate change bullshit, right? And all these people are just like, oh, awesome, end of the world doomsday shit, perfect, because they want to see the fucking world crumble anyway, right? So then they just hop on board with this stuff. And no matter what you say as a rational individual to try to get them, over to you, these are people that have been completely orchestrated to believe in feelings and emotions rather than logical.
Well, they work, they have jobs, they're not digging for information hours a day, like a lot of us, some of us are, they are told something as they go through school. You have one set of ideologies being talked to and preached at them the whole time, their whole life, and they get into their 20s, they get out in the real world. All the news and everything they hear tells them the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. They're not actively looking for information. Like, they're not going to find it.
Right.
And then they refuse to believe the information that you present something to somebody who's not unplugged. They'll laugh. They'll just laugh, and some kind of weird laugh, and think that you're the crazy one. Like, well, you just talk about all this stuff, and here are the actual figures that say they're wrong, and they're like, oh, well, whatever. Why does it matter?
It's the most dangerous. So Lenin did this. He said, "Give me your kids for 4 years, and I will plant seeds that can never be uprooted." Now, the other thing you have to understand is this: when someone is the perfect age to get someone at is from 18 to 22. Those 4 years are the most important. Why is that? Well, that's when someone is most invested. What's that?
You're finding out who you're about yourself.
Exactly.
You?
It's the creation of an individual identity.
Yep.
So then mix that with investing the largest amount of money you've ever spent and then being tied to paying back a loan. And think about the amount of investment you've just put into that, right? And that's school. And that's why these schools are the most fucking dangerous places in the world. These are the biggest indoctrination camps. And the worst part is they're espousing fucking Marxist ideologies, right? So when these kids go there, right? Lenin says, give me your kids for 4 years and I'll plant seeds that never could be uprooted. And then you mix it in with that financial investment, you have literally just fucking solidified. You have solidified this belief system because now they're going there for 4 years too, right? All social media, everything that they do is all image based, and it's just it's patted on the back. You need to believe this way. You need to believe this way, or you don't belong to this social group. If you don't belong to this social group, you are literally going to be dead. If you know what I mean? Like, if you get cast out of this social group, we're the biggest and we're the best and we're the brightest and we're the ones that are leading the future. Do you really want to go against that?
You'll be on the wrong side of history.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
Nope.
What 18-year-old to 22-year-old would not fucking, especially when you don't have the ability to fucking rationally defend yourself.
You have a problem with, authority, right? Because you have a teacher up in front of the class that already gives them a social credibility, social score, social authority. So just because they're standing at the front of the class, the kids are automatically give more authority to what they say, and they give more belief to what they say. It's more real.
Not just that. Guess what also they have? They have the ability to fuck over your career, right? I have to.
Kick you out. Yeah.
Right. I was sitting there in one of my classes, and my teacher was a fucking full-blown feminist. Every single book she made us read was written by a female who literally rewrote books that men had written in a fucking female perspective. It was ridiculous. And I had to take this class. It was part of being part of the college that I was in. So I went to University of California, San Diego, so UCSD. And then the college I belonged to, because they have 6 specific colleges there, I went to Eleanor Roosevelt College. It was all humanitarian based. Fucking stupid. And they made you take these classes, and I forgot the name of it. I forgot the name of the courses that you were mandatory had to take as being part of this humanitarian college. But it was literally just feminist indoctrination. That's all. Honestly, that's all it was, right? I had to write not a dissertation because it was like 20 pages instead of 50, but the paper that I had to write was, based on, I forgot, like something life-changing, right? If you were to change society, if you were to espouse one thing, or if you were to change whatever, what would it be? And actually, believe it or not, I wrote the paper on a return to tribalism. And it was a return to tribalism in the sense of, people espouse the nuclear family as being the thing, but they forgo a few things that are necessary. And the thing with tribalism is you actually had distinct masculine and feminine roles. And there was a specific time frame in each one where the child would go through different phases that were meant to process them with how to interact with reality, right? So for the first 7 years, for sure, the child was mostly under the female's care. And the whole point was for her to breastfeed the child and get them up to whatever and allow them to kind of understand and interact with nature and nurture, right? And then from 7 to 13 is when the nurturing thing started to go away and it started to turn into nature. And then after that, from 13 and on up, is when the boy was ripped away from the fucking mother, right? And he was initiated into manhood. And from there, it was, you learn about death and you go through your rites of passage and you are literally fucking like, you are no longer a boy. You do not go back to mommy's teat, right? None of this stuff. And that's what I wrote about. And it was like completely anti-feminist. It was like a resurgence of the patriarchy and stuff. But I wrote that because I knew I was going to leave that campus, right? I knew I was done with that school after that quarter, after that semester. Most other people, though, what did they write about? They wrote about feminism. They wrote about they wrote about what they knew she would want to hear so that they could get the fucking good grade and get it done and over with.
That's the biggest part of college. Find out what your professor wants.
Right.
And then give it to him. Get the grade.
And the worst thing is, these people aren't teachers. They're professors. They stand at a pulpit and they talk at you as to what they want you. What's that?
Or their TAs do most of the work.
Right. Well, it's these people that are espousing an ideology. It is not a, you're not expanding people's minds or consciousness. Instead, you're lumping them and telling them how to think again. And you're professing it for an hour and a half. You're sitting there and you're going over the stuff. I looked around. You know how many people were fucking paying attention? But subconsciously, the stuff is bleeding into it. They're not interacting with the information. They're not allowed to question or fucking stand up and say, hey, like, I don't get this. I don't see how this applies. I can't do any of this stuff. They literally just sit there and they go there to check in the box, but allow all this information to come in, and then they just do all the work in order to get the grades so that they can get a certificate that says, hey, you're viable to go work on top of my recommendation. And that's, it's literally the most fucking destructive system we have ever incorporated into our society. It is the antithesis of what our society stands for.
So I think colleges need to be reformatted. No more brick and mortar institutions. Everything should be able to be taught online. You should be able to have lectures and meetings and tutors online. There's absolutely zero reason for you to drive to a university and take a class. It's stupid. You should be able to go and say, hey, I need this degree. These are all the credits I need to get this degree. I can go to any teacher I want to who teaches and is licensed to credit me those credits. You should be able to do that.
I'm gonna
be much cheaper. A lot of teachers would be able to work on their own time, work with who they wanted to. You could work into a low income neighborhood, and you could teach a bunch of kids if you wanted to.
Sure.
It's so much better. And the state wouldn't have to take a bunch of taxes from people to keep these freaking behemoths, ancient behemoths open that don't really do anything.
Right.
So
that's number one. Number one is remove any and all taxpayer funding from these institutions.
Yep.
If you go to UCSD right now, there's been all sorts of scandals that have gone on over the last year of people that have been paying millions and millions of dollars to the administrations in order to have people, in order to have their kids essentially put into the classes and accepted to this stuff. So first and foremost, we already recognize that this is a scam. It's pay for play. It's all pay for play. The next thing is, though, if you go to this. Yeah, exactly. If you go to these institutions, man, these places are legitimate kingdoms. They're fiefdoms. They have their own set hierarchies. These people are lords, right? And they are given money from people's tuitions and then protected monies that are coming from the fucking state. These people are getting a fixed income on top of getting just numerous amounts of money. And what are they delivering? Like, what type of product are they delivering? Back in the day, 1960s, 50s, 60s, 70s, okay, sure. It was something that was necessary for people to get in order to like really further their education in order to get in the professional world. But now that we have the internet and now that people are so inundated with information and they have actual mentorship through different types of stuff, it's unnecessary. These people are paying fucking exuberant amounts of money for shit that they don't even fucking like. They don't get anything of benefit from.
A lot of them are freaking like
other than
gender
indoctrinations.
They get $100,000 in debt for a degree that they can only make money at teaching people that subject. That's it. Like, you're gonna get a humanitarian, whatever, humanities degree. Well, all you're gonna do is teach humanities to other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no other job for you.
Well, the other downfall too, again, in what people are doing instead, and this is what it's come down to, is we've made it popular by advertising the mindset. Schools now are meant, instead of teaching people what to become, for the most part, I mean, most people do go there and do that, but actually most people are going there in order to be radicalized, or for guys, most guys are going there to live that frat house style. Finally, I'll be able to escape the clutches of living in this whatever, reinvent myself, and maybe I'll finally be able to have like an orgy or a threesome or bang hot girls, right? I can reinvent myself. So that's where these investments are coming in, is, women are going there to be fucking radicalized into feminism. They're buying into the ideology. And then betas are going there because they want to be able to bang fucking sexually liberated women. So it's not serving people whatsoever. I'm going to disagree with you at one point, where I do actually believe there should be some physical schools. But I think we need to go back to what universities actually used to be, where they were a place of higher learning, where, people go there in order to have a free-flowing range of ideas in order for them to grow. I don't think everyone's entitled to go to college. I don't think everyone should. And for those people, you can easily take a course online. You could go to a trade school. You could go on Khan Academy, or people can sell more and more things that you could buy into that are far cheaper, and you could subscribe to that and get certified and all this other stuff. But I do think that the relic of a university should still exist, but it should only be given to people that are literally like those that are like the 1% of fucking thought in the world, or if it's legitimate, like, hey, I'm going here for surgery, rocket science. You know what I mean? Like all this other stuff. Like people that are going there to no kidding specialize. That's it. And it should cost a shit ton of money. It should cost $150,000, $200,000 for you to go through this stuff. And if you're a smart person who fucking doesn't have the means, dude, have people pay for it, right? Like sell yourself to people and say, hey, listen, this is what I want to do and this is the direction I want to go. Here's my scores and all this other stuff, right? I want to go there. But at least there's a screening process for the people that are most qualified to go there. Instead, what we're doing is we're sending everybody there, and now it's just a boot camp it's propped up as a business for people to make a ton of money off people just trying to get in the business world. That's it. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
Ugh, I love this shit. Love it. So that's how we fix it, I think. Get rid of any taxpayer funding that goes to any of these institutions. Get rid of a lot of these useless degrees.
So the most actionable thing somebody can do is, one, vote for people who want to get this money out of these institutions. That's one. And two is educate your children so that they don't need these institutions.
Right.
That's the other thing. Is try to prepare them in ways or help them understand. If your kid's really smart and he's good at coding, like that's what I'm looking for, is like programs for my kids to start learning coding and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Like I'm teaching them about online marketing. There's different ways to make money. You don't have to get a regular job. There's YouTube and entertainment and writing and all this other stuff. I just want to make sure that they know there's an unlimited number of ways for them to live and make money and live the way they want to.
Sure.
Have to be a slave.
Yeah, there's a fucking course at one of the colleges close by to here right now that's offering a 5-week drone piloting course for free. I think, personally, I think the future is going to be drones. Like, I think that we're going to see flying fucking ambulances that are drones. I think all sorts of shit's going to move over to drones. Wouldn't it be fucking smart to get ahead of that? I think I lost you, by the way. You're stuck. Let me know if you can hear me. I'll just sit here and tap my fingers. You got me?
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
good.
I could hear you the whole time.
Super duper. I couldn't. You were stuck and frozen. It was a little awkward, but I, being the charismatic individual, I just sat here and looked at the... So that's how we save the West, eh? Schools. What else? What do we got to do? Obviously, a huge resurgence of masculinity, I think, is completely necessary.
Your kids, like, you need to. Well, I mean, there's nothing you can do directly to the schools. Like, we can't go back and like, what are we going to do? We're going to protest with signs? No, but we can vote. We can vote for people who are, in the same mindset as us.
Sure.
Who think it's a waste, the taxation is theft mentality.
Yeah.
I think a lot of our problems that we have in our country are created because of the social programs the government's created. And it's not just to people, but the social programs for the socialist programs that they do for businesses, where they're guaranteed revenue for corn producers.
Right. They're subsidizing all this fucking stuff.
They subsidize so much stuff, and that's basically corporate socialism, and that's hurting us.
Right.
That needs to end too. The too big to fail mentality on business.
It's why one of my biggest beliefs in the future, I am a huge fan of, I tried to design a society where we wouldn't have taxation, because obviously I believe in taxation being theft. However, I couldn't do it. Like, honestly, in all honesty, because, one of the biggest things that pisses me off is when people say there's only two certainties in life. It's death and taxes. And I'm like, well, no, taxes are a man-made object. So the only thing that's really guaranteed is
death.
I
mean, you guys see the argument, but also, it costs to live. I guess.
Right.
I'm on the fence. Like, I understand too that, like, a lot of the stuff that we think and just assume that the government's the only way it's going to get done. Mm-hmm. Like, my friends always talk about, oh yeah, those schools and roads really suck, and I'm like, yeah, they do.
Yeah,
they're awful.
They're terrible.
Awful. I was like,
no one was forward thinking in any of these things. You're absolutely right.
What happened when people first got here? Do you think they sat around and waited for the government to build roads?
Yeah.
Really?
Right.
No, they fucking cut down trees and they moved shit, and they needed a trading path, so they made one.
Right. And then someone figured out a way to privatize it and then mutually benefit. Hey, you pay me this, I'm going to do this as a job. You don't have to do it, and we'll actually make it better.
And then the government's probably because those businesses were successful and says, no, we'll run it to make sure everything runs really smooth.
Right. And then the second you give anything over to the fucking government, they turn it into this big fucking stupid ass bureaucratic bullshit. Yeah. They're inefficient. Yeah. They deliver a product that's far inferior, and it costs fucking 10 times as much. So yeah, the way of the future, I think, is this. I believe, and I think that it should be a flat tax. Whatever you purchase, there's going to be a flat tax on, right?
Flat tax, I agree with that, with spending.
What's that?
That way, with spending, that way, even if you're, making money illegally, as if you're buying stuff, you're still paying taxes.
You're still paying taxes. If I'm a multimillionaire and I buy fucking multi-millions worth of property, guess what? I just paid multi-millions in taxes. And once I own it, it's free and clear, right? I paid the taxes. I own it. Plain and simple. Yours. The shitty part about where we're at right now in life is that our government is so corrupt that when you buy something, you're still bled to fucking death with taxes after owning it. Like, for instance, living in California right now, I own a 2014 Ford Fiesta. My first year that I went to go and re-register it, because I have to register it every fucking year for some stupid reason, they wanted $500. It's like I've already paid fucking taxes on this. I've already paid registration fees. Why the fuck do I have to pay an annual $500 fucking tax on top of every single time I go to the pump? I now got to pay fucking 57 cents per gallon in fucking taxes, right? And that's the thing is anytime you fucking own something, you never actually truly own it. You just rent it. Same thing with property taxes.
It's getting worse too, because now it's not even just proper, like that type of property. Like you don't even own your music anymore. You don't own your TV shows or your DVDs. Like people are just streaming everything.
Yeah.
So they pay a streaming service.
Right.
Right. Like I had a bunch of songs that on a device that I had purchased, and I updated it, and they were all lost because I updated my device. Yeah. And I was like, what the hell? Like, where'd all those songs go that I had paid for? Well, they weren't really mine. But there's a lot of, Spotify, Pandora, all these other services, like they're taking that ownership away. They're going to make cars too expensive and gas too expensive. It's New Green Deal stuff, taxing the gas people. Like the rich people are going to.
Cars are already way too expensive for the amount of money that fucking vehicle actually costs to actually what you're paying. It's ridiculous.
What it makes. Yep. And, well, I think that's what they're doing. They're outpricing them. They want less people to drive because they want just the super elite wealthy to own the driverless cars, or they can own cars that they will rent out to people to run the Uber services. That's why they have those scooters that you can rent and ride around, or
that's just crazy.
They're trying to take they want people less mobile. They don't want people to be able to move around as much. That's why they're talking about, hey, let's limit airfare or your air flights. Let's not let people move around. And talking about some really crazy shit.
For sure.
Eating bugs,
eating
not
babies.
Flying.
Did you see the bitch that fucking at AOC's thing eating babies? Did I tag you in that shit?
You see AOC's face. He's like, oh my god, what did I do? What did I get involved with? This is
either that bitch was the greatest troll ever, or she's just fucking cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, man. I don't know. Yep. Couldn't tell. Hey, fucking AOC, man. Creating the fucking. Yep. This is literally. Like I said, I posted this video 2 hours ago. I went on a fucking amazing rant, and I talk about how, all these lefties, they come in here with these amazing ideas, thinking that it's going to produce this result. And then it always creates the opposite result. It's fucking insane. Like, yes. She just she came face to face. What's that?
They believe in a world where, they want to believe the way things should be.
Idealism, yeah. They believe in
this is the way things should be because how I feel. I feel this. I'll talk to people about facts and figures, and they always come back, well, I was like, I don't care how you feel. I don't feel anything about this. I'm telling you the statistical information about this that I know. And it just freezes them in the track. I was like, your feelings do not matter on the situation.
No.
We're talking about what facts do you have? What chart can you show me to support your argument?
Well, even then, it goes back to what I was telling you. Like, you have to, philosophy, logic. You have to present premises that support a conclusion. Plain and simple. Just because you feel a certain way does not mean it like logic gates. That's what computers are. Our brain is a fucking computational device. If you're not putting fucking logic gates in there that open up to the conclusion, you're fucking defeating yourself, right? You're just saying statements, right? It's like saying peanut butter tastes good, tuna fish is yummy, and therefore space travel is impossible. It's like, right? I just said things.
Yep.
It sounded somewhat. It sounded somewhat, formal.
Dora always says it's a word salad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But none of that made logical sense. There was no flow. The premises did not equal the conclusion, right? And that's the difference between where we're at in the world today, is that we're actually being led by people, our politicians, that have no fucking logical sense whatsoever, and they're sitting here and they're dictating policy. They're dictating what you can do with your life. It's to the point like what we're talking about right now, where literally people are going to sit here and say, "Oh, well, you didn't pay your taxes, you didn't pay your fucking registration fee this year. Okay, well, you can't hop on a fucking airplane.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go on an airplane. You're not allowed. You're not allowed to travel because you didn't give us your taxes." It's like, do you really want people in charge of you like that, right? We need these taxes so we can put forth a better fucking green energy platform.
The Chinese social score stuff, man. That's crazy.
Oh, that's fucking creepy, dude.
It's crazy, yeah. Oh, you're There's a Black Mirror episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you see that?
I didn't see that one yet.
It's creepy, bro.
It is. It's like the girl doesn't. Yeah, she has their social interaction score, so people score you after they meet and talk to you.
It's like a Uber, dude. Seriously, like you sit there and you could watch your credibility just go down. It's insane. But how do we fix this? So for me personally, what I think is, like I said, flat tax. And when you put the money in there, I think that I think crypto is going to survive, and I think crypto is going to kick ass. But I think the technology, that blockchain technology, is actually going to be the way of the future for a lot of stuff, especially when it comes to accounting and keeping things transparent.
Mm-hmm.
Governments, especially because it's people's money, the government is not its own entity. The government is the people, if that makes any sense. But people, in our fucking infinite wisdom, look at government as a being, right? When some people say I work,
a lot of people look at it as mommy, daddy,
especially daddy, right? Daddy with his coffers.
Especially
when people look at it, they say I work for the government, as though the government is like an entity. As weird as that sounds, right? But instead, it's like
they think that way too sometimes.
Sure, absolutely. Well, it's hard for us to not understand, because there's so much data that goes into it. It's easier for us to just lump it into this one thing and turn it into a being. But when it comes down to it, you really got to take into consideration how much money our government, our federal government, our state governments actually fucking rake in, right? Think about if every single person every single day was giving $1. Like, how much money is that throughout the year, right? $350 million a day times 7, right? Times 365, let's just say. Dude, that's a fucking lot of money. People don't realize that. Like, could you imagine getting $1 from every single American into your bank account every single day for the next year?
It's a lot of money.
Dude, that'd be fucking epic. But that's what we're doing. And people are just like, oh, it's just a fucking $1. No big deal. $7 a week? No big deal. It's cool. Anyway, there's no accountability when it comes to it. So what do? Well, we put it all on blockchain. Every single transaction, right? When I buy something, the tax is also put in, and that's put into a separate fund, and that's put through blockchain. So people are able to actually track right? Because blockchain, all it is just a technology that decentralizes it. Instead of it having it on like one central mainframe, it's now on everybody's computers. It's now on everybody's iPhone. They're able to see, right, what's going on, what money's going in, and how that money's going out. And that's my belief of how keeping it transparent and seeing what direction it goes in, what percentage, the actual transactions, and then what it's spent on is the means for people to actually still maintain control and power over their dollar. And you talk about it with voting. I don't think in the future that we're actually going to vote. I don't think that we're going to actually have, what's it called? I think that people instead are going to learn to vote with their dollars. So people are going to present cases. People are going to present stuff via the internet, like what we're doing right now, and be able to create, like, no kidding, debate platforms and say, so for instance, it's kind of like Yelp. What is that? It's a means for people to dictate what is good quality and what is bad quality. So now, therefore, we don't need a government to sit there and regulate anything and come up with the standards. We instead allow people to open up their own stuff freely, and people are able to sit there and say, you know, this place gave me food poisoning. This place service stinks. This place is way overrated, all this other stuff. And the more people kind of vote and do all this other stuff, people are able to therefore then vote with their dollars. But this cancel culture, that's where we get out of this whole thing too with this cancel culture, is that people, instead of the government coming in or these big tech companies or any of these other people coming in, which I believe should be decentralized as well, if you create a platform that is meant for public discourse, you cannot come in and dictate the discourse, plain and simple. It's either free speech or no speech, plain and simple. So
a lot of heat on Facebook and Twitter, right? Because they're essentially public squares where discussions are allowed to happen. Mm-hmm. So if they ban people or remove people, you're banning their free speech. You're not allowing them to take part in the conversation. You have politicians, the president, all kinds of people who are involved in the public conversation in the town square, and you're going to not allow some people to be there because you don't like what they're saying.
Yeah,
it's a public space,
right? And I do think that there should be, like, obviously there's some guidelines and all sorts of other stuff, and man, I just listened to this one guy. His name's Asha Logos. You can find him on YouTube. And he has a tremendous idea of how to shape social media in the future. And it's based on like a philosophical kind of thing where, it's kind of like Reddit, but with different containers to it. So people don't necessarily get kicked off, but they can get quarantined and put on like probations and stuff like that and different things. But what's up?
I have an idea.
Let's hear it. I'd love to hear it.
Based like that, using the blockchain type technology, you can create a platform where the upvotes and downvotes, weigh you. So your posts and your comments, they cost you money.
Yeah.
So
he was talking about doing the same thing. Yeah.
If you get a bunch of downvotes for all of your ideas, it's going to cost you a lot more money to put your ideas out.
He was saying it more of like a social cred, right? It's almost like Black Mirror in a way, but not to the point where it affects you being able to just go out in society. But the more you get upvoted, the more credibility you get in your account. And then exactly like what you said, the more downvoted you get is it allows for you to be able to interact within those spheres and stuff like that. Absolutely.
There's no perfect answer because there's always going to be manipulation anyways. Even if we did that, then somebody somehow, some way would figure out a way to manipulate shit.
Oh, 100,
Get people to vote, or they do it themselves somehow. Get a bot farm to do work for them.
Enigmatic Elephant was talking about when we were back at AOC. He says, "Hear that, fellas? Worship your women, live in shame, eat your bugs, and ride your scooter. We good?" It's kind of like exactly what they're telling us to fucking do.
Yes.
Except exactly somehow, how is eating bugs going to be vegan though? I mean,
they're all about it though. That's what they want us to start doing.
Wait, the vegans are about eating bugs?
No, it's like a new thing this week. It's like they're always pushing everybody to, let's start. They're trying to popularize the idea of eating bugs.
There's this fucking movie on.
Which I have a problem with. Let's send bugs to third world countries and help them. We can feed the homeless with the bugs. We can feed the people we don't have the money to feed with the bugs first.
Right.
But I'm not eating the bugs. We're not going to eat a burger. I'm going to eat the burger.
I don't need to. Exactly.
I'm eating a burger.
Right.
You can take my burger out of my cold, dead hands. Right?
There's this movie that I watched on Netflix a little while ago. I think it was called Icebreaker or something like that. It was about a train. It was the last people living on the civilization, post-apocalyptic.
Oh, I think I saw that.
Is that what that's called? Icebreaker?
Something like that. I didn't finish it though because I think.
Dude, I love that movie. Believe it or not, I wish that movie. I love dystopians like that. But they were fucking eating bugs, dude. They were eating protein blocks that were made of bugs, right?
Nobody knew what it was. It was protein blocks, but they were bugs. Yeah, and the whole time it was safe to go outside.
The fucking ending was terrible, though. How stupid. What's up with this, man? What's up with people and just not... Is it called Icebreaker movie Train?
They didn't foreshadow any of that. He just, I saw this thing. And
Snowpiercer. Sorry, not Icebreaker. Snowpiercer. There we go. Yeah, survivors of Earth's second ice age live out their days on a luxury train that plows through snow and ice. Yeah, they destroyed the train in order for 3 people to fucking get off of the train and go live in a world where there's no civilization and it's fucking covered in ice and you're literally going to have to fight saber-toothed tigers and all sorts of other shit all over again. That was really smart. Really smart. Anyway, fucking... Dude, this drives me crazy. It's just like Game of Thrones. I was such a Game of Thrones fan and they just destroyed it. The last season. Did you watch
Freedom it? Death. No, I'm not. I watched half the episode of the first one. I'm not into drama. I don't like it. I'm just like,
dude, epic stories. Like you don't like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings? Like these epics that have this like mythological tale to it?
Lord of the Rings is different, Lord of the Rings, that stuff was different. That stuff was a different type stuff. No. To me, I felt like that was like a soap opera.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Right?
Game of Thrones was, yeah.
Game of Thrones, soap operas. No thanks.
Yeah, there was definitely a feminine twist to it, and they added a lot of gay stuff.
Yeah,
and,
it's not. Yeah,
tits and ass. And shit.
I think that's what I picked up on right away. I was like, it felt feminine, and it was the soap opera. I was like, I'm not watching this. I'm not watching pro wrestling. Soap operas. Not interested.
Yeah, I feel you. But I was able to bypass that because it had that epic mythological.
I think that's
tie
how
to a
they
lot of
are
stuff.
secretly feminizing you. See, they throw a dragon in there, and you're like, oh, badass.
Yeah. And like
really,
fucking spirits and magic
yeah,
and all sorts of shit.
controlled by a woman.
Yeah, losing yourself to the dragon,
Yeah.
like heroin. Shit. So we're gonna fix the world with resurging masculinity, getting rid of universities, reducing the welfare state and the taxation problem, and then introducing blockchain into most everything.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I mean, we're onto something. Whoever's listening out there, all one viewer that we have right now, vote for us. Start sharing this more, please. Anyone out there who is watching this, like, share, and subscribe. Obviously, I need to pitch that again now. But John Fitch and I, John Fitch, this UFC fucking champion, and I, this dumb fucking United States Marine who went to war. What happened to us? How are we so fucking wise that we're able to just shift civilization the way we are? Could you see John trimming that beard down a little bit and wearing a suit and fucking running for office though? I mean, a lot
of this stuff you kind of already inherently knew,
mm-hmm.
and when you were told things or whatever growing up, you always were like, I don't know, that sounds like bullshit.
And
then they shove it down your throat, and then the indoctrination got the worst in college, but man, when you finally get zeroed out, when you finally see behind the curtain, like, it's just,
the fucking Wizard of Oz
the world a completely different way. I think it's kind of like it's like Neo in the Matrix. You start seeing the numbers and the code.
You see the code, dude.
You start talking to a girl. You're messaging and back and forth with the girl, like, you can see the code. You know exactly what's up. It's crazy.
For sure.
Textbook.
Fuck, I forgot what I was just about to say. I lost it. I had a good one.
We're fixing the future.
Yeah, I agree. I 100. I mean, I was on Dude Party this last weekend, and John asked me. He said, Corey, do you have hope for the future? And I said, absolutely, 100%. He's like, yeah, me too. I think that this is going to work out. I have hope. I hate using the term faith. I'm not a big faith guy. I believe it's going to work out for the best, especially
every time that things change in societies, whatever, there's always going to be a group of people who capitalizes on it because they see the patterns first. So I'm very positive towards my future and my children's future in this landscape. But there's a lot of people who are just going to get chewed up by what happens moving forward, and that's just the way it's going to be. Not everybody gets to be on the A team.
We had a comment from Nate. He said, I've been finding it more difficult to relate to the average person nowadays. Seems like I have to heavily censor myself in conversation after digesting the red pill content for nearly 3 years. What are your thoughts on that?
It's true. If you're operating around people who are not red pilled and people who are still plugged into this matrix, it's really hard to relate to them. They don't understand your frame. They don't understand having boundaries. Mm-hmm. Like, they think your boundaries are closed-mindedness.
Yeah, they also think it's evil. They think it's an attack. They think you're literally attacking people.
Like, I don't. It's like, no, this is how I am. This is what I like. I'm allowed to like what I like. I'm allowed to spend the money on what I want to spend the money on. Like, I don't have to buy things because you say I should. And I think a lot of people have to just get past that shame of society that they try to push you down and make you submissive. Man, there's a new guy I learned about the other day.
Ooh, let's hear about him.
Oh man, you have to look him up. He's the guy who started the Nautilus company.
The Nautilus company?
Yeah, Nautilus.
Like the gym equipment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Arthur something.
Arthur Digby Sellers?
I don't think that's it.
If you got that reference, dude, I would fucking jump in this screen and hug
Arthur
you.
Digby. No,
Arthur
I didn't.
Digby Sellers.
Don't.
It's the greatest movie of all time. That's all. That's the only clue I'll give you. If anybody out there knows what I'm talking about, just put it in the comment section. Whoever gets it, I'll send a free copy of my book to. If you guess what movie I just quoted. Arthur Digby Sellers. John, you're telling me about Arthur the Nautilus guy. What's who we talking about? What we're dealing with?
But anyway, he was there's a video on YouTube. I need to find it. But he was on a bunch of shows and whatever. He had a huge empire that he built up, and he was 65, married to a 21-year-old hottie, and super alpha red pill dude. Absolutely. Okay. And he's just my new hero now.
Tell me why. Give a quick shout out to him.
He just did not care about what anybody said about him dating this younger girl.
Oh, perfect.
You know, and it's just the way he lived his life was pretty impressive.
Yeah, so that's actually in a way tying back to what Nate was just saying. So what I said to him in the response in the comment section was, don't censor, stand boldly in it, and just articulate what you're saying in a centered way and care a little bit about how it's accepted. The biggest problem when you first get red pilled is you almost become a heretic, right? You want to lash out with a bit of anger and like kind of attack, right? No, this is the truth and this is kind of how it is. And that's why people talk about a red pill rage type when you get woken up, right? You want to save everybody and you want everybody to see the truth. But the best way to ever give truth, the best way to ever deliver it is come from a place of not giving a fuck and just sit. Like if you listen to how I'm presenting this right now, where I'm just kind of speaking conversationally and I'm holding myself in a certain way, but it's calm and it's centered.
Yes, it's got to be calm.
Like people are not going to agree with you, but you're planting a time bomb in their brain because they're going to sit there and they're going to reflect on the interaction they had with you, and they might not remember everything you said, but they're going to remember your disposition, dude. Like it's just like with women, they rarely care about what you say. It's more so how you make them feel, right? They're fifis, right? That's all they kind of defer to. I actually have a new guy that I've been listening to lately. You want to hear him?
What's that?
His name is Dr. Edward Dutton. I think you'd enjoy it. The Jolly Heretic. You would actually enjoy him. Very, very astute British dude that studies psychology. And he's a fucking cheeky bastard. He's this fucking jolly British dude, man. You'd never looking at him, you're like, dude, who the fuck? What the fuck? He's like this pasty fucking dude. But I've really been enjoying his work lately. He goes into a lot of depth. He's got some pretty good red pill knowledge. He's a little bit trad conny, but hey, you know what? For the stuff that he presents, it's pretty good. With that said, everybody, I think it's about time that we get John going because he's got to take the kiddos to jiu-jitsu. We didn't talk about anything like what we wanted to talk about today, but we'll do it later. No big deal. You're breaking up a little bit, so I'll just kind of go through my spiel, and then I'll let you get back up. But, hey, everybody, so big thing right now is this. Check in the comment section below after this is posted. I have been recently posting up a lot of content, and I would love your support through likes, subscribes, and shares. More particularly, I'm doing something that's, pretty cool. I'm doing this series. I call it War Stories with Papa C. So War Stories Sunday, please check in. I go live every Sunday and I'll be telling my third kind of interval of getting ready to go to war and then, all that other stuff. So that, to me personally, I think it's a pretty fucking awesome series. With that said, I'm also doing some fragrance reviews, and obviously John and I do this live on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Also, if you don't mind, please do stop by and leave a donation if you don't mind. If you got a little bit of extra cash lying around, send it my way. I got some projects in the hopper right now that I'm developing in order to really start helping move this masculinity coaching along, and I'm creating a forum and all sorts of stuff for guys to kind of link up. So could use a little bit of funds to help out with that as I'm doing this all out of pocket. So I'd appreciate that, guys. And last thing, buy my book on Amazon if you don't mind. John, go ahead.
I found the guys, Arthur Jones.
Arthur Jones.
Arthur Jones.
I'm going to check him out.
He was the Nautilus guy. But yeah, he flew like a bunch of elephants into Florida for research or something.
No shit.
fleet of jets, like made a ton of money, but like listen to some of his comments, some of the stuff he says. This guy way ahead of his time. This is like from back in the 80s, I think. But yeah, for me, I've got a seminar coming up November 2nd in San Diego.
Oh yeah, I'll be there.
And at the arena, you can check out my official John Fitch channel on YouTube. I think I've got a community post with my tag for the seminar, my poster for it. Excuse me. Yeah, my book, Falling Upward, Death by Ego, is on sale on Amazon. I have a Patreon, patreon.com/John Fitch. You can learn Fitch Smash system, learn how to fight. I've got some nutrition stuff up there. I've got some weightlifting stuff up there. And I got a little bit of writing, so you can check that out. I put up a weekly video. Yeah, that's about it for me right now.
Excellent day. Gentlemen, again, John and I will be back here live at 9:30 on Saturday, or around 9:30. You'll see the update. Oh, no big deal. We're flexible. With that said, everybody, again, yeah, that's it. See you guys later.
Check you later.